In any M&A transaction, the legal due diligence report is the document that reveals the real legal status of the target company. It answers fundamental questions investors should ask before moving forward. Does the company legally exist? Are its licenses valid? Is its ownership structure clean? Are there any hidden legal risks? For investors considering capital acquisitions in Vietnam, knowing the structure and contents of a Vietnamese legal due diligence report is key to managing risks and structuring a legally sound deal. The report begins with an analysis of corporate matters. This includes verification of the company's establishment, charter, business registration certificates, and amendments. It examines whether capital contributions have been properly recorded, and if there are any irregularities in the ownership structure. Issues such as improperly signed charters, missing shareholder resolutions, or internal governance violations are red flags that can impact the legal validity of the acquisition. The next section reviews the company's licenses and permits. In Vietnam, certain business activities require specific sub-licenses or sector-specific approvals. The report checks whether the company is legally authorized to conduct its current business operations. Expired licenses, failure to renew permits, or conducting business outside the approved scope are common risks. This section helps investors avoid legal disruption after closing. Intellectual property is a critical component of many deals, especially in tech, manufacturing, or brand-driven businesses. The report verifies trademark registrations, software ownership, patents, and domain names. It checks whether IP is legally owned by the company or licensed from third parties. If key IP is registered under an individual's name or not properly transferred to the company, this could pose a risk to the buyer's rights post-acquisition. The report examines key commercial contracts that materially impact the business, such as supplier agreements, client contracts, and partnership arrangements. Lawyers review a sample of contracts to identify unusual provisions such as automatic termination upon a change of ownership, exclusivity clauses, or transfer restrictions. These clauses can directly affect the value and operation of the target after closing. While the report does not summarize every contract, it flags critical risks that require legal attention. Ownership or lease of real estate is a major concern in Vietnam due to complex land use regulations. The report checks whether the company holds valid land use rights or leasehold rights, whether the property is properly registered, and whether any restrictions or encumbrances apply. It also verifies that the use purpose of the property matches the company's operational needs. This ensures that the investor does not acquire assets with unclear or contested legal status. This section reviews existing financial obligations such as loans, guarantees, or pledges. It examines whether any encumbrances exist on key assets and whether the acquisition would trigger any repayment or consent clauses in financing agreements. Although legal due diligence does not replace financial or tax due diligence, identifying legal obligations tied to financial instruments is critical to understanding the company's liabilities. The environmental section of the report assesses whether the company complies with environmental laws applicable to its operations. It checks for required environmental permits and reports whether the company has been subject to environmental penalties or complaints. While not every company is heavily regulated in this area, non-compliance with environmental law can lead to fines, shutdowns, or loss of operating licenses. Employment law in Vietnam is detailed and strictly enforced. The report examines whether employment contracts are properly signed, whether internal labor regulations have been registered, and whether social insurance obligations are met. It also reviews contracts with key management to identify any golden parachutes, restrictive clauses, or problematic severance provisions. Past or pending labor disputes are also highlighted. This section helps prevent post-acquisition HR problems and ensures compliance with Vietnam's labor code. Finally, the litigation section reviews whether the company is or has been involved in any legal disputes. Because Vietnam lacks a centralized litigation database, this review is based on online searches and disclosures from the company. The report will identify whether there are any pending lawsuits, arbitration cases, or regulatory investigations that could affect the buyer's interests. It also evaluates the likelihood and potential impact of such disputes. At the end of the report, legal risks are summarized and categorized based on severity, critical red flags, moderate concerns, and minor issues. Each item comes with recommendations for legal remedies, such as obtaining warranties, restructuring the deal, requesting indemnities, or completing remedial actions before closing. This enables the buyer to renegotiate or walk away from high-risk deals when necessary. At LTS Law, our legal due diligence reports are written in English and tailored to your transaction. We focus on highlighting material risks and providing legal strategies to address them. We do not produce long, generic checklists. Instead, we deliver business-focused legal advice you can use during negotiations and post-deal implementation. Our due diligence process is fast, practical, and grounded in deep knowledge of Vietnamese law. If you're planning to acquire a company in Vietnam, start with the right legal foundation. LTS Law is your trusted partner in legal due diligence. Visit lts.com.vn or contact us to schedule a consultation. Make decisions with clarity. Invest with legal certainty.